What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 931 of FloWrestling Radio Live. I'm your host, Christian Pyles, joined today by JD Rader and Ben Funky Askren. What's going on, boys? Happy Thursday.
No Shane Sparks?
No Sparks. He's he's baseball, Shane. Now, in the springtime, I think he commentates baseball. You know, Shane.
That thing, huh?
He's a busy guy. You have your Bitcoin. He's got his baseball. We've got wrestling. Plenty to discuss. And we sparked quite a discussion with
was it really you or was it somebody else?
Well, ChatGPT started a discussion.
Sure.
And it's a fun pastime of FloWrestling Radio Live. Going back through, ranking some of these old timers and not so old timers. Figure who are the 10 best of the last 50 years. So JD thought it might be a good idea for us to get into it a little bit. One, I would say.
Let me ask you this question. Did ChatGPT, because I've never used this product, did it say like what criteria it used or what algorithm it used, or does it not say any of that?
No, it doesn't say that. I think Spay literally just said, hey, who are the best college wrestlers or top 10 of the last 50 years? Basically.
Got it.
That was the prompt. And it gave us a list that it's like, they got some of it right, but a lot of it pretty wrong.
If you try kicking me off, I will come and fight you.
What do you mean?
ChatGPT said it, and it's smarter than you. I'm on the list. If you try kicking me off the list, I'm going to come down there to Austin.
You know what? You're going to be hard to keep on, but I think we can do it. I think we can find a way. Wow, he got
So I got another question.
Okay.
If you pose the same question, and would you get the same answer again?
Possibly not.
That'd be interesting, right?
Yeah, it seems pretty random. I mean, I think we asked other versions. You can see if you're watching the video, you can see it on your screen right now. I think actually during our meeting after it came out, we put in some different prompts and got some different answers, I think. But yeah.
Got it.
So ChatGPT is very malleable. You could tell it anything and it'll be like, oh yeah, sorry, that was Spay actually did this. He was like, he would tell it, he's like, well, why did you forget this thing? And he's like, oh, I apologize, that was an error. This definitely did happen. And he said, then he would go, haha, I tricked you. This was not actually true. He's like, you're right. This is not the case. Then he said, actually, it is.
So they're not that smart.
No.
Jeez.
Well, it can do some things, but wrestling, I don't think so.
Okay.
So who is your top 10, Ben?
I've honestly never thought about it.
Never thought about it?
I mean, haven't we done like top 10 in the last 10 years? We did a lot of stuff over Corona that I don't really remember.
We did a lot.
Really well.
We certainly did.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we could just go through the list.
Well, here's the thought.
Like you guys have on here.
So we've got some names.
Others.
Yeah, we've got some names in here in our doc. I think it's pretty obvious that there's 5 four-time national champions. They should all be included on here somewhere. I don't
know. I think you could argue them off because the easy thing is,
says the two-time national champ.
Is it the overall body of work, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or would it be when they reach their pinnacle and how good their pinnacle was, right? And that's why I thought maybe actually ChatGPT is smart to like account for this, because when you're saying the best overall, you're not saying what do I think the best overall is, right? Because someone might have reached a higher pinnacle while not having as much earlier success. So like I would say this would be really easy for me to argue. My last season as a senior, or pick either one of my last two, would be superior to Yanni's senior season. Yet Yanni has 4 titles and I do not, right? So if you're taking the 4 titles, I can't compete with him. But if you're taking the pinnacle, then I think I absolutely compete with him in those categories.
I don't think you can do pinnacle because pinnacle is so much like eye test. And at what point do you shorten it down? Like, do you say a season? You have to include the entire season? Or it's like they went absolutely crazy at the NCAA tournament. And it was like, if you take that specific version of X wrestler, like they would beat anybody.
I feel like it's got to be, to answer your question, JD, I think it's got to be at least a season of that level. Like a hot tournament or whatever. I don't know if that's that's enough. And I think the
Yeah,
biggest
because
challenge is
otherwise,
time.
not enough data points. If it's one tournament, that's not enough data points, right? It could be very skewed, or they could have two opponents who have bad tournaments, for example. But if you're over the course of the season and you just smash everyone, it's pretty hard to argue that that is not incontrovertible evidence that that person has reached a really, really high level of wrestling.
But then there's also something to be said for longevity and being able to
For sure.
withstand a season or a career versus a season.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
100%.
I don't know that they have to be the top 5, but I feel like every 4-time national champion would probably need to be on there, including Yanni, who did it as a true freshman without a redshirt in a field that had a national champion, a 2-time national champion in it, among a lot of other hammers.
Well,
So
no offense
Yeah.
to like somebody like Pat Smith, but I hold Yanni in high regard because of only 2 career losses.
for sure, I
Yeah.
think
That's
that
a
has
big
to
one.
be that has to be considered as well, right? Only 2 losses. He almost made it with just 1.
Mhm.
Nearly completely unscathed. So I think
Yeah.
I think he's got to
I mean-
be considered. I mean, what 4-timers would you have off then, Yanni?
So we talked about this year. We had a discussion. If Yanni runs the table, does he go to number 2 overall behind Kale? We had that
Mhm.
discussion.
Yes,
Remember?
yes, I recall.
So he did lose, right? That was before he lost. He did lose, which
Mhm.
knocks him down. And the other thing that I think it is, even in my eyes, and I am a Yanni fan for sure, is the fact that he had that really competitive match with Max Murin. He had a lot of really competitive matches this year,
Mhm.
and that just like I don't feel the way about Yanni this year the way I felt about David Taylor senior year, or Ed Ruth junior or sophomore year, or Zane, or some of these dudes who were just like they were not really competitive with a lot of other people. And Yanni was competitive with kind of a lot of people this year, which maybe knocks him down the list.
I can see that. I understand that perspective. I have a hard time keeping him off, considering he just
Yeah.
did it 4 times. Some names that are
And only
not
2
on the
losses.
list. Some names that are not on this list. One, Dan Gable is not within the last 50
I
years.
can't believe ChatGPT got that
Are
one.
you
That's-
sure?
That's just a stat.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're 2020. Oh my gosh, I thought we were 72 because he graduated. No, he
That's when
graduated
he
71.
That's when he won the Olympics.
Yeah, so 71, he graduated college. Yeah, he's out. What are we doing here?
He's out. All respect to Danny Matt Gable.
It's also we went and asked it who's the greatest Penn State wrestler of all time, and it said Kelsey Anderson.
Ooh, ChatGPT, get it together.
Yeah, so not a great source. I've got one guy that I think needs to be on here is Lee Kemp, 3-time champion, and his one loss was in the NCAA finals was a referee's decision, and he beat Dan Gable in college. Pretty insane.
Yeah, the referee's decision's tough.
That is
Would be a
tough.
4-timer.
For Lee Kemp, the argument is for sure the last 3 years, 110, 1-1. I think that's the argument there. And I believe, if I'm correct, he wrestled as a true freshman and
Yes.
did not redshirt, which if he redshirts, his ledger could look even more impressive, a la Zane Rutherford.
A la Zane Rutherford. I just did a video about that. In fact, Ben, that'll be coming out. Man, I've been looking at the bonus numbers for some of these guys, some of these Penn State guys. My gosh.
They're ridiculous.
Jason Nolf, 118-2. Ridiculous. 3-time champion. 89% bonus rate. A 74% termination rate. So techs or pins in 74% of his matches. Just 12 decisions. Has an IMAR win, which is his best win. He's IMAR away from being a 4-timer in all likelihood.
Yeah,
One thing that hurts
honestly,
Jason is he doesn't have a ton of other like signature wins that you're like, wow, he beat this dude. Like it's Hidley or Berger who are really good, but like
I'm going to argue that one again. Can I argue that one again? I hate this category.
what?
I'll tell you why I hate this category.
What category?
The signature wins, because this category is significantly skewed, because for the athletes who stayed at a one weight class, Jason Nolf, they dominated that weight class and it made everyone else look lesser than. Whereas guys, I mean, Dake is obviously the most obvious. Moved a weight class every single year. That means someone always won the other weight class as he moved on. Someone would win. You know what I'm saying? And then a lot of times when he went into a weight class, there would be a guy or two who was like the guy because he's moving into that weight class. So I like looking at like the course of a career. I hate it.
3 of Dake's finals opponents won NCAAs the next year. The only one.
Yeah, but if he was there, they wouldn't have.
Well, I know. I'm making your point, Ben.
Oh,
I'm agreeing with you.
I thought you were arguing with me.
No, I'm saying I'm literally adding context to what you're saying.
Okay.
The only one that didn't win the year after was Montel Marion. But Molinaro won the year after. Then St. John won the year after. And then David Taylor, of course, won in 2014. But that was already – the David Taylor win was already insane at the time because he was the reigning Hodge. But then he won again afterwards. So, but that said, there are some guys that stayed in the same weight classes and still had – but maybe you're right. Maybe we'll find as we look a little further. Like someone like Logan Stieber, I guess he was in 2 weight classes. But he beat a Jordan Oliver.
Prime JR.
He even started at 25. He was actually in 3 weight classes. His first year when he came out, he was at 25.
Yes, but then that was a redshirt year ultimately.
Yeah.
So it didn't count for him. Bo Nickel's a guy who, you could say had that as well. His bonus is not quite as good as Jason's, although it's still otherworldly. It's interesting with Nolf because he never won the Hodge, and Bo did, but Bo had more losses and was less dominant. It's just the way the years lined up. They lined up well for that senior year. Was the year, I think, was that the year Nolf had the knee?
No, Nolf had his junior year. Senior year, I believe it was a real shootout between the two of them for the Hodge.
Yeah,
that was the year some people were arguing for 2 Hodges, which I absolutely hate. Of course, pick one.
But they made it happen.
Not that year.
I know, but they came around. They got hip to it. Couple of Hodges. So Bo Nickel 120-3, 79% bonus rate. He had 59 pins, 12 techs, 25 decisions, which is not it's not a lot, but it's 2 times as many as Nolf had. Now David Taylor's is really insane. 135-3, 126 bonus point wins. 126 of his 135 wins were bonus. 53 pins, 42 techs is what I have. 70% termination rate. 93% overall bonus rate. And he scored crazy NCAA points. He had 11 pins at NCAAs and 2 techs throughout his career. So very, very insane ledger there.
Yes.
So does he belong? That's a big question because he only has 2 only.
Oh, yeah, you're an idiot if you think David Taylor doesn't belong.
Really?
Yes.
I mean, I agree. I agree.
I could argue outside of Cale, David Taylor, and the Dake argument is obviously going to probably trump it, but I could make an argument that David Taylor is the best folk style wrestler in the last 50 years, not Cale. Now, he couldn't beat Dake. I don't know how, because when you watch him wrestle, you're like, I mean, every time we thought, oh my gosh, Taylor's going to get him this time, but he never got him. So, I guess we could slot him in my opinion, at number 3. He was such an elite folk style wrestler.
Yeah, it was an insane level, and it was an insane level out the gate. I mean, right away.
Yes.
He was killing everyone as a redshirt freshman. Then there's someone like Kyle Snyder, who is very literally the best in the world during his collegiate run. And he won in 2015, in 2016, in 2017. All were collegiate seasons he wrestled in. And how do we – I mean, I like to keep it like focused around college and their college ledger, but it's hard to ignore the exception of a guy winning the Olympics while he's in college. And how do you – I don't know. How do you weigh those two?
Yeah. I mean, I think if you stick to just college credentials, he doesn't make it. It's funny to say, right? But he doesn't make it.
Part of that is also he was wrestling like overseas during the college season. And so he had limited number of matches.
Yeah. I think that was his choice. And honestly, I think he'd probably say that was what I wanted to do. And I realized that there was going to be some consequences for my decisions, which means maybe I'm not as high up on fictional lists. as I
Yeah.
should be if I would have wrestled in all the matches. But
He's gonna look
I mean,
back on this FRL and be like, "Man, I messed this up. I shouldn't have been
well,
going to the Regan in college."
think about also like if he would have actually put some effort into learning how to pin someone on top. I think the same thing with Gable. Like Gable and Kyle Snyder literally put minimal to no time in to holding someone down and turning them over. I mean,
Yeah.
none. Like they're not good at it, and they
No,
didn't try.
they didn't try. I think those are two guys that just always were trying to build a freestyle
Yeah,
skill set, and they just poured
100%.
all their investment into that. And they're like,
Yeah.
"Listen, they can't hold me down, and I'm better on my feet, so I'll win every match." And
Yes.
turns out they were basically right. One thing for Snyder too is he also has that Adam Kuhn loss
Yeah.
later in, so he didn't like
Mm.
run the
Yeah.
last 3 years undefeated. He had that
Yeah.
loss against an actual human giant, but
Yeah.
a wrestler all the same.
0-2 against Gadsden too. Never got
Well,
that win over him.
now he's like 9-2 against Gadsden, but yes,
In college.
collegiately, yes,
Collegiately.
100%. So that's a fair. He also had a loss to Micah Burak and Morgan McIntosh that year.
Yeah.
Which people forget.
Mm-hmm. Now he
Yeah,
did
that's why
beat
it's so
both of
wild.
those two guys. I
Uh-huh.
think Gadsden is the only one he never
I don't know if he ever saw
Avenged.
Burak again. Burak may have just run off with that win.
maybe.
What a beast.
If we want to include international credentials, Barry Davis took silver at the Olympics his redshirt year. 3-time
wow.
champ for the Hawkeyes.
John
That's-
Michael
I mean, when I'm looking
Giacomo
at this list,
world silver.
you guys are very recent centric. I mean, you have a few older guys on there. You have Barry Davis was not on there like 2 minutes ago. I don't know who added him. JD, probably you. But
Dustin
you
had a
guys
few
got Wade
guys that
Chalice, Ed Bannock, Gene Mills, Lee Kemp. There's probably a few other guys like maybe a Randy Lewis or something like that could be added to it. But although I'm not an expert in say 1973, we'll say 73 through 93. I don't have as much of an idea as I do with current stuff.
It's unfortunate for these older guys that the newer guys are so good coming in, because you look at a lot of these guys and they took
Mm-hmm.
5 to 10 losses their freshman year, especially if they didn't
Yes.
redshirt, but then their last 2 and 3 they were not losing
Mm-hmm.
like at all. But
Yeah.
then you look back and you look like, oh, Barry Davis had 9 losses his true freshman year, or like Lee Kemp went 143. Oh, but he's got 6 losses. Well, yeah, but he only lost 1 match in his last
Yeah.
3 years.
Mhm.
It is kind of crazy to think about, because I was thinking about this actually after the U.S. Open, and I was thinking about, I don't consider myself too old, although I realize now I'm getting up there. When I went to college, there was no clubs that went year round. We had a spring club, March, April, and May, and I would wrestle a lot in my basement. I found partners and stuff, and then when you go to college, Division I college wrestling, like you're wrestling all year round. Like there's always partners, there's always coaches, and good high quality coaches, obviously. And you realize, oh wait, this is why college guys have such an advantage over high school guys, because at that point in time in 2002, how many really high level club coaches were running club programs year round? And I think the answer is there was probably some, but probably not very many. So yeah, to your point, JD, the college guys had a huge advantage gaining skill over the high school guys. So high school guys maybe took a year or two to get better when they got in.
Yeah, it's almost, you think about the level of partners and they come in. If you can even compete as a freshman without ever having your hands on an elite person, it's really impressive, honestly. The older wrestlers that had success so early on, like Elite Camp.
Think about if Zane wouldn't have wrestled his true freshman year.
Oh, I just did a whole video about that. Should be going out soon. Yeah, that's a huge what if. His bonus was crazy. 3 basically straight
Crazy
Hodge
bonus.
seasons. Do you think Zane should be in the top 10, Ben?
I would say, yeah, he has to be. I mean, the first season brings him down, because if you skip that first season and make it the next season, I think there's a chance he wins 4, and he doesn't lose a lot at all.
He did get the Logan Stieber feather in his cap from wrestling that year, though. Obviously, he took fifth, right? Fifth.
of port.
Yeah.
As
But he was a
true
totally
freshman.
different person the first year versus the third, right? So the red year, the second year, the third year.
I mean, the guy had a 75% career
different.
bonus rate,
Hey, I have
and that brought him down.
Bro, I have it at 88. I don't know where you got this. I went through and counted every bonus win for Zane yesterday in WrestleStat. He had 88% bonus.
Well, still, that was brought
Are you
down
sure?
by freshman
Or
year.
80% career, 88% for his last three.
That sounds right there.
Yeah. 54 pins, 22 techs for Zane. 2 Hodges, 2.5, depending who you ask. Only lost to Stieber, and Port. Very, very good losses to have. I think he should be on there. Lincoln McElravy. He's got some feathers. Because true freshman national champion. Right? That's a big deal.
Right.
Did have some losses. But incredible career. 3-time champion. 1-1-2-1 or 1-2-1-1, something like that. Feels like he probably belongs in there as well.
So hey, I got Mr. Scott Cleaver chiming in, giving me information. He says that a lot of these guys have more losses, and I don't know this to be true. I'm going to take his word for it. He's older than me. A lot of the guys in the late 70s and 80s and early 90s had more losses on their college records because really good senior level guys were wrestling at the Midland.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously, I know that to be partially true because I remember Joe Williams on like 10 Midlands, for example. And there was other senior level guys at that time.
Sadiq Kemp
that
beat
didn't
Dan
happen
Gable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a decent win.
That's an interesting factor.
Yeah. So let's talk about this guy, this Missouri Tiger, Ben Askren.
So you gonna make your list here or what? You can be a chicken like Shane Sparks.
I'm no chicken. I don't know if I don't want to put out a list that I don't know I can put my name on yet. I've got.
It would take a little more thought and time to literally sort out 1 through 10.
Have you ever done this just on your own? I want to see Tommy Rollins. That was my first wrestling podcast. Me and Tommy T-Row Funky. I want to say we did our best 10 ever, just best 10 American wrestlers ever, and it was our best episode that we ever had. And the second one was we did best 10 college wrestlers, I believe. I would have to go back and look, but I'm pretty sure we did do it.
I much prefer the greatest American wrestler of all time because it doesn't have an undisputed
way easier
GOAT.
But then where it gets tricky with this, because we did the top 100, it's like, well, how do you weigh international versus collegiate, right? What's more important? So I remember did you have Kyle Dake like number 2, Ben? Or something crazy?
I had him somewhere really high, and my argument,
and he had never made a team.
I'm a prophet here. My argument was if there was a 79 kilograms, he would win it every year. So he's that good. That was my argument at that time, and it came true.
Well, yeah, he did win 79 every time he entered. That's true.
Yeah, and he would have won it. So if they would have had it like 14 and 15, he might have won it then. Who knows?
But that wasn't even I don't know. I'm not giving you that because 74 or 79 wasn't even considered a weight class at that point in time. Wasn't like
I know. But my point was weight classes matter and international weight classes are crap. And one of the things that these older guys, and now I'm an older guy, but even go back. Let's see, you have to go back probably 10 to 12 years before me. Is that there was always 10 international weight classes. And if you have 10 international weight classes, it's a lot easier to win world medals. They have their 6 international weight classes. That's just a fact. And then there obviously, in my opinion, there were also weaker points in international wrestling history. I mean, the obvious would be when there was the boycott. That was really easy. But then, the fracturing of the USSR made them weaker for a few years. Before that, I know you had a Soviet athlete, but there weren't really a lot of good countries in the world, so there's a lot of things to consider.
Indeed. Yeah, I think doing the best U.S. wrestler of all time is a little easier. I don't remember if you did college or not, but I remember listening to that and yelling in my car at some of the things you were saying. And possibly Tommy as well. Who knows? But yes, I enjoyed it. I didn't think that was the point of the show. So I've got an approximate order here. I don't feel great about all of it, but I'll give it a whirl here. Hold on.
But so I feel like we really should. Man, I feel like I should go look back through. If I'm going to make my list, and so I'm not going to today, I feel like I should go back and look through the late 70s, 80s, and just kind of dig through who I may be missing because, like, I'm just not great at that era.
I think there's an unimpeachable top three of Kale,
Unimpeachable.
Dake, Stieber. I feel really strongly about those as the top three.
Really?
Yes.
Oh man.
So that means you disagree
Kale,
with
Dake,
Logan.
Stieber. Well, I think Dake is probably easy number 2. I think Stieber is impeachable, given the fact that he lost his senior year, and he almost lost to Dardanes also.
He lost his junior year, not his senior year.
Oh yeah, sorry, junior year, and then he almost lost to Dardanes as well. So I would say, like I think I can make a decent argument for David Taylor to be higher than him.
Third?
And maybe what?
Third?
Yes, or Zane. Yes.
That is wild.
Why is that? What's wild about that?
Man, I don't know. I just get hung up on the 2 thing.
You get hung up on the amount of titles, right? But
he lost to Bubba Jenkins, who lost to an Bubba lost to an NAIA wrestler the year
I got you. So David got pinned by Bubba Jenkins, and a pin is a way to lose a wrestling match for sure.
I don't care that he got pinned. It's the loss.
Okay. Well, but it was. I mean, it was like. Obviously, I said getting pinned is a way to lose. But if you want to say, I'm going to hold one. It's essentially you're holding one move. You're holding one move against the entirety of someone's 4-year career. I don't know.
Is Ben Askren diminishing the pin right now?
There's nothing but nits to pick with all these guys, Ben. You got to. You have to say a loss to Bubba Jenkins in the same year he lost to an NAIA guy has to count for something. That has to mean. That has to be. If you're going to bring up that he almost lost to Chris Dardanes, why can't I bring up that he factually lost to Bubba Jenkins?
If you put 6 losses on Logan Stieber's record, then because he lost 3 times his freshman year and then tried to wipe him under the rug. That's crap. Put 6 losses on his record.
If you're putting we're putting your losses on the record then too from your redshirt year.
He wrestled at the CKLB and he post facto redshirted.
No,
that's called smart.
Yes,
that's
that just made him. That just makes him smart.
He lost 3 times in the same day as he was going to compete that season, and he got injured. And I don't even know what the rule is, but then somehow after he had already competed with the varsity, he went back and said, "No, I'm actually faking it. I'm actually redshirting."
If you're putting David Taylor on there, you got to put Gable Steveson up there.
Honestly, I would consider Gable for real. I really would.
Man. And I never thought I thought I would be advocating higher for David Taylor than this room. Now I feel like I'm like, whoa, wait, 3?
But Zane's the other one. You could argue Zane at 3 also because Zane only has 3 losses. They all came as a freshman, and his bonus rate is ridiculously high. And he beat Stieber when he was what would it be 3 years younger than because he was a true freshman, and Stieber was a junior at that time.
Redshirt junior.
Yeah.
Redshirt junior. So really 4 years
I
older.
think you could argue that Rutherford is 3 also.
So you're going to impeach it. You're impeaching Logan Stieber.
Yeah. So I think the unimpeachables are, like you said, Kale number 1, Dake number 2. And if Dake didn't go up and beat David that year 3 times, I think that one would be also debatable. But given the fact that I want to put David at, we'll say somewhere high. We'll say 3, 4, 5, or 6, somewhere in there. Given the fact that I'm putting him there, and Dake beat him 3 times in 1 year, you got to put Dake at 2.
Dake, only guy on this list probably, unless you include Mark Schultz and Ed Badink, that has a win over somebody else on the list. Correct?
Yeah. Zane and Logan.
Zane and Logan,
both beat each other.
Because I know it's to no fault of anybody else. You only can wrestle who you wrestle, but that's a huge, huge notch in the belt, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think beating all-timers definitely matters.
I didn't realize Mark Schultz had that many college losses. Holy crap, because I was going to nominate him, and then I looked at that, and I said, oh, my goodness, that's a lot.
Interesting.
I think they were damn near all his first year
He had,
because he won
So it's
3 titles
Yeah.
his last 3 years, and I think
he had 5 losses in his final 3 years.
Yeah.
eh,
According
So,
to
I mean,
you.
obviously different, like I said, talk about different era, definitely a different era, but that's, he still had 15 losses.
Yeah, 97 and 15. 10 came in his freshman year, which means 3 came in the not.
yes,
So that's
he
not-
had his only undefeated season was his senior season. He was 27-2 as a junior, 24-3 as a sophomore.
I would say a DNP is a disqualifier from this list.
I think so, unfortunately.
You gotta be top 8. And I know it was weird, the wrestleback rules then. It was follow the leader or whatever. But still, I just feel like you gotta be a 4-timer at minimum.
Yes.
A
I
4-time
would agree.
All-American. So I think no Mark Schultz. So where have you been?
Well, the argument for me, I'll give you the argument against me. The argument against me is I could beat that stinking Chris Pendleton. That's the argument
Stinking
against
Chris.
me. Stinking Chris. And the argument for me is that I score very highly in numerous categories, very high on the all-time pins list, all-time wins in a row list, all-time Hodge trophies list. My bonus rate is very high. And then my junior year when I won, those guys both would never lose another collegiate match. My junior year, Mark Perry and Jake Herbert would go and win titles other places the following year. And then Jake Herbert and Keith Gavin would never lose another college match after me. So that would be the argument for me. The argument against me is freaking Chris Pendleton.
8 losses total, correct?
Yeah, 7 to Pendleton.
7 to freaking stinking Chris Pendleton.
You should have told Chris to win, like 4 titles. So it was more like a
Yeah.
Taylor's Dake loss.
Retroactively.
Yeah. Well, he was one that wasn't as good when he came in. And that, he obviously got way better.
Yeah. And then Ryan Lang, was that your other loss? Was that the name of the guy?
Yeah. Jeez Louise.
But not that Ryan Lang. Northwestern
Not that
fans.
Ryan Lang. The other Ryan Lang.
The other Ryan Lang. Did you ever get him back?
No, because I was Big 12, he was Big 10, and then he took 5th or 6th that year. So no, I never got him back.
All right. Well, Ben's revenge tour. You can get him.
Let's do it. I'm in.
Okay. Yeah. So 150. How long was your streak?
80 wins 87,
87 win streak.
which I think was number 87 or 8. I was right behind Jimmy Zaleski when he won 89 in a row. So he honestly he could be considered for this list. So I'm talking about older guys where you want to go back and look through it. Like that'd be one to look through right there.
91 pins. Do you know how many techs and majors you had?
A lot. I mean, my last 2 years I think I had 80 bonus out of 87. So
Okay.
I mean, that was a high percentage.
Do that percentage in your head. We'll see how close you get. I know you're good.
Well, it's got to be close to 90 because if you minus 8 from that, it'd be probably 80 or probably 91.
91.9.
Yeah.
Pretty close.
Oh.
Okay, that's a high bonus rate. That 90 threshold is really, really, it's pretty rarefied air for.
But that was only my last 2 years.
I know, but for a season,
Yeah.
it's rare.
Yeah.
Extremely
Yeah.
rare. Okay.
Kind of a similar career to yours, Ben. A couple more losses to different guys, but if we're talking peaks, he's in here. Stephen Neal.
Yes.
Stephen Neal's up there. What about Stephen Abbas? Talk about
Yeah,
all the
he should
Steves.
be. That's another one. Because he
Steve
had
Brackey?
3 titles. I don't think he's got very many losses. I think he only has, I want to say 4 collegiate losses would be my guess for Stephen Abbas. It wasn't a lot.
And he did not win a Hodge, I believe.
I don't think
He's
so.
like a
No, I don't
runner-up.
think he did. I don't think he was a great bonus point guy. I think he was a lot of neutral, and obviously, in order to get a lot of bonus, you really need to be racking up some back points.
Stephen Neal, 144-4 with 33 techs and 32 pins.
Man,
Yeah, he was good.
32
He was
techs.
another one that he wasn't even a state champ when he went to college. I don't believe.
What the heck?
I know, right?
That's insane. It's weird, the guys that just have these insane jumps like that. Yeah. And what do you do with Gable Dan?
Yeah. What are his stats? I mean, so his freshman year hurts him because he lost to
Kassar twice.
He didn't lose it. He hasn't lost besides that, right?
No, that was it.
That was it.
Beat Mason. He had the COVID.
It's 86-2 career record.
Man, it's kind of a little bit more than I realized. I would have put
more wins or what?
What's that?
You said more wins or more
matches? I guess he did.
More matches.
It's because he got 38 his freshman year.
Yeah, because then it was 15, 17, 18. And he might come back next year. So we'll put a pin in Gable.
That would be wild.
He could
That's
come
going to be so weird to debate the guys who have 5 cracks.
That is going to get interesting. How do we look
Which I know Gable didn't have the 2020 NCAA championships.
But still.
And then how do you weigh 5 seasons, 4 NCAA championships versus guys who literally had 4 NCAA championships?
Hey, Jason Bryant just texted me. He said my 87 is now 11th all time.
11th all time what?
Wins in a row.
Okay.
Yes. Among Division I wrestlers.
Does that streak exist somewhere online, Jason Bryant?
I don't know. I'll ask him if we can get the list.
Is that in the thing?
I asked for it.
Okay, thanks.
You know who else you don't have on this list? And I could make the arguments for and against this person. All-time Missouri great Jaden Cox is not on your list.
Phil Wellington makes it tough for me.
Damn it! Why did you lose to Phil Wellington?
He also lost to Kyle.
He lost to Kyle and Morgan Morgan McIntosh.
How many losses do you have? 5? 4?
McIntosh got some bodies.
Yes. McIntosh was a beast. So he lost to his freshman year. He lost to Phil. He lost to Kyvan.
Yep.
But then he won NCAAs.
Mm-hmm.
And then sophomore year, he lost to Snyder.
And he lost to Snyder and McIntosh at NCAAs. I don't know if he lost during the season or not.
And maybe that year was the Wellington loss year. Hold on, we'll just look it up.
Is he young enough to be on WrestleStat?
Yes, he is. He's the first year. He has all.
I feel like Wellington might have been a sophomore year. I think you're right, but
so he lost. No, he lost to Phil. He had a DQ loss against Phil as well, where he he slammed him. So freshman year, Jaden lost to Phil Wellington and Kyvan Gadsden. Sophomore year, he lost only at NCAAs to Snyder and Morgan McIntosh. Junior year, he had the DQ against Phil.
Oh my goodness!
And then he won.
What's up with Phil Wellington?
And then then he ran the table, so he only had one undefeated season.
Yeah, and his bonus is only 56, unfortunately.
Yeah, which is pretty good, but comparing and he was in the same field as Kyle, but he didn't get the win over him, so that could have had a big impact on as far as a resume boost. Yeah, but yeah. If Kyle's not on here, it's hard to put Jaden on here.
Yeah, I agree.
Will Keegan O'Toole one day don this list? Perhaps.
Good chance.
Well, he's got. I mean, the car losses hurt because before that he only had one loss, and you could argue it was in his redshirt season.
Yes, you could. Yeah. How are we gonna look at Starachi and Brooks? Starachi wins 5, even if he wins 4.
How many total losses does Brooks have right now?
He lost
3?
to Taylor Vins, Miles Amin, and your guy Marcus Coleman. I think he only has 3 losses.
Oh, Marcus Coleman got him. I forgot about that.
Man.
Yes, 3. 3 is the right
losses.
Number.
It's a magic number. So yeah, just those 3 losses for him. Starachi lost to DJ Washington, Michael Kemmer, and I think that's it.
In my opinion,
yeah, that's it.
Ed Ruth has to be in the top 10.
Ooh,
man,
speak on it. I love Ed.
But why did he lose his senior year? He shouldn't have lost to Gabe Dean, and then he'd be really, really high here.
I mean, at the time, it was completely shocking. Like, looking back, Gabe Dean was pretty good. I know it was his senior year, too. But the fact that he went on, won that bracket, and then Gabe went on to win his titles there, he was so dominant.
He is just for wrestling fans that watched Ed Ruth were just like, man,
Eye test.
He was just so. It's like, who in the world can beat this guy? 136-3. Can you name all his losses, Ben?
Well, obviously Gabe Dean, and then he lost the Stanford Muchastegi. And there's one that's like a really not good one. It's someone who's not very good. It was
he was good, but yes, not
okay, not an all-time great.
Yeah.
I'm blanking. Who is
Maryland?
Headlock?
No, he didn't lose to him.
Headlock Shataki?
No, he did not lose to him.
Who was it?
Mike Letts.
Oh, I pinned Mike Letts. Jeez, Ed Ruth goes down.
See, now you think he's
First
good.
period, no problem.
So yeah, those were his losses. He lost to those three guys. Never lost to the Sheptalk. He beat Sheptalk in NCAAs. Maryland was good.
Honestly, if Ruth doesn't lose to Gabe Dean, you could probably argue him at 2 or 3.
Especially because he would have went undefeated his senior year and beaten Gabe Dean, and now we would look at that and be like, oh my gosh, he beat
great win.
Gabe Dean, and that guy went on to win titles immediately after that. Yeah.
I mean, he did beat Gabe Dean.
He did beat him. Yeah, he did. He actually beat him. He beat him twice.
Yeah.
He pinned him in the first period, and then lost to him
early. Yes.
Yeah. And then lost to him at the scuffle. Then beat him barely. Well, sort of barely. He beat him by like 2 points at.
It was competitive.
NCAAs. But it was that weird Granby takedown situation that he ended up scoring one of the deciding takedowns in that match. What about one Tom Brands 4-1-1-1?
That's I just don't know.
You don't.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know about his career. Like I don't have his resume. You can't wrestle stat him. Yeah, it's so hard to make a prognostication of that.
What did Kyle Klingman was giving me some factoids.
That's who we need right there. We need Kyle Klingman, Jason Bryant, those type of guys, because they know these information.
Brands did lose his senior year.
Oh, really? To who?
I don't know. But he went 41-1 that year.
Do we know it was a college wrestler? It may not have been.
I do not know. I just have his
National Wrestling Hall of Fame thing.
Yes.
So he went 4-1-1. His freshman year, he had quite a group with Kendall Cross, who he lost to 1-0 in the semis, and reigning champ Jim Martin, who he lost to for third. Okay.
His junior year was Tom Brand's only undefeated season. 45-0. You're just putting up some matches.
Yeah. The match totals just look insane now. Do you think about it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was 40 a season was pretty average for, I mean, because I was 161, so that's 41 and a quarter per season.
That's what Kale was at, 160, 159.
That's kind of where everyone was at during that era was like 160s, and now you're more like 120s, which is like that's like 30 per season. Is obviously the Corona years that brings it way down, but if you non-Corona years, think so it's about 30 a year is about average.
In 15 years, how many of these top 10 are going to be Penn State wrestlers?
Decent amount.
Over 5?
Man. Going to get really interesting.
It might already be over 5.
Winster. I mean, you can make a case. All right, Kale is not a Penn State wrestler. But David, Nolf, right now and Zane feel like they're probably top 10. Nickel, Ed, Carter, Brooks.
Wait, how did we do our list? Remember we did the list of those 5 the one time?
Greatest Penn State wrestlers of all time?
Yeah.
Those 5. We did the list of those 5, 1 through 5.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. I got you ready. You guys ready for this?
Ready.
Jason Bryant sent me a screenshot. I will read the Division 1. There's some Division 2, Division 3, and other stuff on here. I'll read Division 1 for us for the sake of argument. Longest win streaks. Number 1, Cale Sanderson, 159 matches. Number 2, Stephen Abbas, 95 matches.
Wow.
That'd be a good one. His career record, 144-4. Shout out Jason Bryant. This is so awesome. Then we have Zane Rutherford at 95. we have Dan Gable at 94, and he was 94-1 in his career. His career actually ended. I misstated. I said 1971 earlier. It's 1970. John Smith, 90 wins. Jim Zaleski, 89. Jack Kuvo, 89. Wade Chalice, 89. Terry McCoy, 88. Nick Gwizdowski, 88. Ben Askren, 87. Alex Dinger, 87. Dang, 87, 88. How is crazy that it's so crowded in that area? Because then it goes Steve Mako, 85. Mike Land, 85. Ed Ruth, 84. Stephen Neal, 83. Randy Lewis, 81.
Whoa. That's wild. A lot of those guys not on our list. I mean, Kale obviously was. You.
Well, McCoy's got 18 career losses because he had a not so good first year, so he's got to be out. Gehringer's 133-4. That
can you name all his losses?
I cannot. Was it St. John? Probably a couple, maybe.
I think 2 to St. John. I'm not sure I can. 2 to St. John. He lost to. I'm almost positive of this. Jim Volrath of Penn State, who was a backup.
What? Really?
I'm almost positive this is true.
Oh, all right. Now he's yelling at me. He said I skipped Grace Simons, who it says NAIA on there, NCAA/NAIA. He says he was. It was before there was divisions. He's correcting me. So Grace Simons had 84 wins.
Okay.
In a row.
Ben, you're gonna like this.
Career record 89-1. Really impressive.
In 2020, I ranked the top 5 Penn State wrestlers of all time. Number 1, David Taylor.
Interesting.
We did this on the podcast, didn't we?
I think so, because there's a video playing up there. I can't listen to it, obviously, but
okay.
Jason Nolf was number 2. David Taylor led in bonus rate and NCAA team points, but Jason Nolf led in pin and tech rate and dominance score.
So, yeah, I'm right. Alex Daringer did lose to James Volrath, who actually very sadly passed away in 2016 from cancer. But Volrath was a beast, depth guy for Penn State. And, yeah, I remember that. But I can't remember Daringer's other losses. Unless they were all St. John.
St. John had 2. Well, there had to be one more. Didn't he go undefeated? Well, he went. I think he went undefeated his last 3 years. If he's 89, because that's he probably had less matches.
He might have lost early to St. John.
Early his sophomore year.
Yeah, maybe.
Was he on WrestleStat, or he's probably too old, huh?
He's only like his last couple of years.
Jeez.
We gotta get it all built all the way out.
No, his sophomore year is on here, Christian. It's the first year that WrestleStat had a thing, and he lost to Derek St. John. Was his last loss, January 10th of his sophomore year.
Mm-hmm. And then he had 2 losses. He had 3 total losses or 4.
So he had 4. So he had 3 his first year.
Crap. Well, I can't think of him.
He actually had really good bonus his last 2 years. His last 2 years, he had 84 and 81% bonus.
Hey, you know what? Maybe he lost to St. John 3 times, because I know he lost to him at NCAAs as a freshman. Very close match. So he probably lost to him at the dual meet that year.
Also,
and then the Volrath loss. So it's like Volrath and 3 St. John losses. Maybe that's it. That's pretty good.
I think so.
Okay. Well, maybe we're not going to put our full top 10 out there. I don't think Ben is.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get there.
No, but this was fun.
This was fun.
Always fun to talk about. Sometimes you rant and rave about talking about this kind of stuff, Ben.
Me?
You're like,
it's the only one
we already did this. We did this.
I feel like we've talked about the best.
Jordan Burroughs got mad at me, so I don't want to do it anymore because Jordan was mad. I don't like confrontation.
That's how I would never make that allegation.
I know.
I'm fine with confrontation. No, I would say the one I get annoyed about is we do the Penn State one so many times because it's always in the questions. Who's the best Penn State wrestler in the last 10 years or something? It's always in the question.
Yeah.
And currently evolving.
Yeah, it's an ever-growing list. I think it's just because it's a hard answer or question to answer.
Yes. And there's no like concrete answer so that way it's permanently debatable.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
indeed. So we got Angelo Ferrari news. Angelo is going to be announcing his commitment on May 31st, live on
Which
FloWrestling.
is next Tuesday,
I don't know. Today's
Monday?
the 25th.
Bro, can I tell you guys a story real
Wednesday.
quick? I got to roast one of my coaches. Can I tell you guys a story?
Sure.
So we put out our Fargo prep camp. We get all of our academies together. And we get the college coaches to come in and coach this Fargo prep camp. And I got a manager's thread for all of our different managers, different academies. And I say, hey guys, I just put this out. Here's the dates. And it's June 29, June 30, and July 1. And Josh Wagner, our coach from Green Bay, he goes, guys, you skipped June 31. I'm like,
Oh, no.
what do you mean? There's no June 31. He said, yes, there is. And then he screenshots a picture of our calendar. He said, see, there's June 31 right here. And I said, you dummy. That's a picture of a May calendar, not the June calendar. And then
tough
everyone
scene.
bullied him. And now everyone listening to the show can bully Josh Wagner for thinking there's a June 31.
Please do. Yeah. Josh just catching strays on here.
June 31. Can you believe it?
It's my birthday. June 31st.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. What else are we talk about? We done?
Well, I was going to talk about the Ferrari thing. He's going.
Oh, yeah. Where's he going?
He's between Iowa, Virginia Tech, and Rutgers. If I had to guess, that's probably my order of likelihood of place, but I don't know that. I haven't talked to
Wait,
Angelo.
say order again. Say order again.
Iowa, Tech, Rutgers.
Hmm.
That's a guess.
I gotta think Iowa. I mean, it feels like they're very close as a family, so it feels like
Yeah.
Iowa should be probably where he's going.
Speaking of the family, the Ferrari family, on episode 927, I had said that Anthony was convicted of a crime. Anthony Ferrari, that actually is not the case. For Anthony's case, the judgment was deferred for a year, and at that point, after a year, it could be dismissed and not be convicted. So accuracy is important. So sorry for messing up that detail. But yeah.
And then,
you're right.
hey, in June, will AJ announce his commitment to Iowa also?
I don't know. I don't know if that's how close that is to being resolved. Still think that may be a little bit of time from now.
But if Angelo goes, you got to assume that's going to happen at some point in time.
You would think. I mean, AJ's situation has to be resolved before that can. I feel like that can happen, right? But if it does, it would seem like a seamless transition. If Anthony's there and if Angelo goes there, it would seem like AJ. And plus, I mean, you look at their 197 situation. It's not great.
Do you remember 2 years ago how excited we were to see Aaron Brooks versus AJ Ferrari?
We were.
I was.
I mean, I'm excited now. 2 years ago. When did we? I don't remember talking about. I remember
did
we were
it
talking
happened?
about it.
Huh?
If Aaron Brooks bumped up, what would happen?
Oh yeah, that'd be a good match. Well, man, dude, I remember after Braxton won Junior Worlds, we were like, dude, Braxton versus AJ is the match, and then has not worked out for Braxton. At this point, he needs to get healthy, and hopefully he can have a great finish out his career strong for Wisconsin. But I remember that more than the Aaron conversation. I feel like at this point, AJ hasn't wrestled a match in how long? So it seems like Aaron would be a pretty significant favorite. But at that point in time, it would have been. I feel like it would probably be a pretty low scoring match, to be honest.
Yes, I agree.
Not as intriguing. Oh, also another thing. Shout out to my guy Connor. I met this kid at the World Team Trials. Connor's 10 years old, but he's really fired up for wrestling. And he said, hey, can I get a shout out on FRL? So, yeah. Shout out to Connor. Cool dude, lives in Colorado Springs. He was hanging around, running around in a singlet during World Team Trials. Little beast. So, shout out.
That's so funny.
Shout out to Connor.
We're giving random shout outs. I can't remember who it was.
See?
No, we're giving random shout outs. But some kid at the Club Cup in Illinois, he kept asking. He asked me like 4 times to give him a shout out on FRL. I told him, nah. But now I feel like a bad guy now that you're giving shout outs.
Well,
I don't remember who it was. I should give him a shout out, but I don't remember his name. Damn it.
This kid was 10 though. How old was that kid asking for a shout out?
Well, it was high school. It was only a high school tournament.
It's a little cuter when they're 10. When they're high school, it's a little.
They're just brats at that point.
Yeah, they just want the cloud. Connor probably doesn't have social media. He just wants to shout out.
Who was this kid? I think he beat one of my kids too. Oh man, who was it? I don't remember.
Man, that's why you won't shout him out. Salty Ben.
No, I can't. Well, now I'm trying to remember. I'm trying. It's all coming back to me. I'm trying to remember what exactly happened. But he really wanted a shout out, and I'm like, nah. Now I'm a bad guy.
No, you're not. I mean, how many shout outs have I given on this show? Not many.
Too many.
What's the cutoff? 11? 12?
I don't
13?
know. I don't know.
Yeah. When did they stop being cute?
When they stopped, it was a cute little kid, so he got a shout out. I don't know. All right, we want to get to a couple questions before we go.
Sure.
I don't know if I like any of these. Oh, what do you think about the Zare-Gable match? What do we think it looks like? Zare's forward pressure seems to give everyone issues. However, Gable might snap him through the mat. These are both options. This is from Brian Murphy, but I don't think it's that Brian Murphy that wrestled at Michigan. Unless he's grown out his hair substantially. Yes, he was. How do you think that match looks? And before that, JD, how likely is it that Zare is the guy for Iran?
It's between him and Masumi.
They got some big dudes.
I don't know.
Yes.
I don't think they've had their wrestle-off procedures yet, so we don't know. But it is up in the air for sure. Zare definitely could win that match, but Masumi's really good.
What do you think about that matchup then?
I think it's fascinating. I think Gable, man, usually he uses people's pressure against them.
Yes.
Obviously, none of the people he's competing against are quite as good as Zare. The Masumi guy has very strong pressure also. Man, I got to think Gable, how he looked at US Open makes me think he wins the world kind of easy, honestly.
I do too. And I know it's like it's our guys, but man, Mason Paris and Nick Wisdowski are they're world medal threats if they're on the team, in my opinion. And he just I haven't seen a casual domination domestically.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know if Burroughs had a run where it looked that easy domestically.
I don't think so, because he was even in the early days, he had battles against Andrew Howe, and and then shortly after that, Dake would become competitive. Yeah, I don't think he ever did.
No. I mean, in 2014, he had the really close David Taylor. I mean, we haven't seen much like Gable. And I also think he's gotten significantly better than even his Olympic run, where he kind of killed everyone and then had the weird Petriashvili match that he still won. But it feels like he's just on another level. And I feel like he is bigger and he'll be able to absorb a lot of the Zare strength and pressure that maybe in 2021. I know in 2021, that was the match that Team USA was most concerned about, without a doubt. They put the most amount of time and preparation thinking about Zare before they knew where he was going to be in the bracket. He was the guy they were like, this one could be problems. So that fact makes me ultra intrigued and feel like he's the guy. I feel like Petriashvili, if he sees him, I think he stunts on him, honestly. I don't think it's a close match. He already stunted on Taha. There's no one else other than the Iranian, really, that I think is in contention to give him a competitive match. After Final X, he has to make the team still, but we can skip ahead for the sake of the question, right? Yes. We're all adults here.
Partied on Paris.
He partied. He partied hard. Michael Gallagher says, dead serious, why do international mats have that loose covering on the outside while mats in the U.S. don't? Because they're just these tarps that they use. I don't know if it's because the mats are older and mats are really expensive and a tarp is not, and you can just pull a tarp over anything that's a mat and it's fine because it'll have the right dimensions, because UWW changed the colors and probably some of the dimensions. So I think it's just as simple as that. Probably a financial thing. And I know some wrestlers like wrestling on the tarps. Ben, what
really?
Did you think? Yeah,
I snapped my finger on one of those stupid tarps. That finger that came out, it was because the tarp was loose and my finger got caught on the tarp and snapped off. So F those tarps.
Forget the tarps. Get them out of here.
That's not the F word I was thinking about, Christian.
Oh, Well, I can't even imagine what you were meaning.
I don't mind the tarp.
He likes a tarp. Okay. Well, hey, it's 9 o'clock. Programming note, we give those. No show Monday. It's Memorial Day. Thank you to all who have served and are serving. Spend some time, barbecue, have some fun with your family.
Speaking of those who have served, this just in, breaking news, the people's champ, the great American hero, refuses to stop wrestling. Wyatt Hendrickson will be at U23s in 2 weeks. He just registered this morning.
Yeah. I need to get a picture with him finally. I still haven't got a picture of the great American hero.
Yeah. Give him.
I'll be there. Let's do it.
He's going to ask for a shout out on FRL.
He deserves it. If anyone deserves a shout out, to the great
No
American
one's
hero.
gotten more shout outs than Wyatt.
He's
the most shout outed athlete in FRL history.
It kind of started as a gimmick, but he's gotten like really good at wrestling.
Yeah. I'm glad you're finally admitting it was a gimmick at the start, but he is absolutely really, really good right now.
Remember when I almost got tased on his behalf, and then you guys were just too scared to tase me or something? I don't know what your problem was.
Well, it kind of feels like if something happened to you, we could be super sued for that. And it's like, do I really want to go down?
He's definitely the type to sue.
And he's very litigious. And do I want to go downstairs and say, hey, general counsel, Ben lost a bet and he has to get tased. Is there any sort of paperwork he would be like, I don't even want him to know that that's a question I'm having. So I'm just going to
that would be like the most awesome question ever. He might just say, can I watch?
Paul is awesome. He would actually, he's most likely to be down for something like this. But at the same time, knowing that he would probably ask Mark Flo about it, and he'd be like, yeah, CP wants to know if he can tase. And I'm just avoiding it altogether. So yeah, you can blame me, Ben. In I should have had you tase yourself. That's what we should have done.
Maybe I'll come strapped to Ohio.
Yeah.
But then what if you tase yourself and like your hand got locked in like the position where you just kept pressing the button or something, and then you couldn't stop tasing yourself?
Forever.
Yeah, and then there's life of tasing. We don't want that. Okay. Thank you guys so much for listening. We will see you a week from today, next Thursday. Hopefully Shane Sparks is back. Hopefully you have a great Memorial Day. Lots of great Final X content coming. May 31st, next Wednesday, Angelo Ferrari commits. Cannot wait for that. Huge decision. He's going to be the real deal. More to come on that. That's what we'll be talking about this time next week, where Angelo Ferrari's going. It's going to be a big deal. Thanks a lot, guys.
Peace.
Goodbye.